Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this new info session that we have organized today for the Open Call Tree of StandICT. Together with me today, we have also Maria, our coordinator, and I am Teresa Ridolfi, the Open Call Manager of StandICT. So now I should be able to share my screen. I hope you can see it. Okay, perfect. So as always, just a few informations about the housekeeping. So this event is being recorded, as you can see, and will be available in the upcoming days on the website, together also with the slides we are presenting now. Of course, as always, we have a Q&A box. So if you have questions or doubts, you can use that, and we will try to answer them all during the session. And also, in order, let's say, to be always updated on all the details of our open calls, you can also, let's say, follow us on our website and on our social media accounts. So as I was saying at the beginning, this info session is mainly focused on Open Call Tree. Open Call Tree, as you know, has been launched a few weeks ago on the 13th of July. And will close on the 2nd of October. This open call will last a bit longer compared to the others, due also, of course, to the summer period, the holidays and everything, so that we will have, let's say, more or less enough time for everyone to submit their applications, also considering, of course, the holidays. Also, in this case, we have some, let's say, priority and most relevant topics for this batch, and they are all also, let's say, displayed on our website, on the Open Call website. Of course, we are always, let's say, focusing on the macro areas of the rolling plan for ICT standardization, even though in this case, we also have a specific topic on cybersecurity and for the Cyber Resilience Act. The evaluations potentially, since the call is closing on the 2nd of October, will start, let's say, after more or less 5 working days from the call deadline, and will last potentially around 1 month, 35 days as usual, and the results potentially would be available on the week of the 9th of November. As I was saying, we have some priority topics also in this case, and for Open Call Tree in particular, we are mainly requesting applications on cybersecurity, in particular those focused on the Cyber Resilience Act and the Cyber Resilience Act standardization request that has been addressed by the European Commission. In particular, we would need contributions to the technical committee of ETSI, that is working on the Cyber Resilience Act, which is the ETSI TC Cyber. A brief note on this, because some of you might be aware that we also have, let's say, another European funded project that is only working and only focusing on the Cyber Resilience Act, and this project is the StandICT. StandICT also had, let's say, some specific service procedures that were basically open calls focused on recruiting experts on the Cyber Resilience Act. And the main aim of these calls was, let's say, to support the working groups and technical committees of ETSI and CENELEC in the drafting of the standards and the according, of course, to the standardization request made by the European Commission. For the moment, these calls are not available anymore, the ones of CyberStand, as the funding has basically all been addressed. And so we have almost no budget left for these funding opportunities. Nevertheless, let's say they are still looking for experts in this field, as most of the standards are now in the draft phase, but also some of them are already under inquiry. And for this reason, let's say, we are also, let's say, trying to support these standardization requests made by the Commission on the Cyber Resilience Act. A small note is that, of course, if you have already been funded under CyberStand, so if you are an expert under CyberStand, it is very important, as you know, that you specify and differentiate the activities and the timeline of your project that you are submitting in Open Call 3 of StandICT with the one that has already been funded by CyberStand. Most of them have almost finished, but some of them are still ongoing, the projects funded under CyberStand. And so for this reason, it is important, let's say, in your applications to underline the differences. And also, if you have already been funded there, to notify this in the specific question that we have in our application form related to if you have already received, let's say, money from another initiative. This, of course, doesn't mean that it is a case of double funding as long as you specify the timeline and the activities that you're doing in your application. Potentially, the most convenient thing in this case is to, let's say, if you have already applied to CyberStand that you have been funded in CyberStand, it's to specify the title of your application under CyberStand and also the start and end date, if you want to add this directly in one of the sections where you can describe, let's say, the work you want to do in StandICT, so that in this way, evaluators will be aware, let's say, that you have been funded, your project has already been closed or it's ongoing, but it's different from the one that you are requesting now. So now a brief overview, of course, on our open calls.
Sorry, Teresa, can I
yes.
jump in a moment just
Yes.
to clarify a few points, also based on some questions we've got already in the chat.
Sure.
So this webinar today is an info session, so to address Miguel Fornes' point in the chat. So it's not a task force or a working group meeting. It's a public webinar that we have organized to provide you more detailed information on how to apply and the specific rules, let's say, or priorities of this open call issued by StandICT, which provide funding for standardization meetings. Okay, so there are no minutes from previous meetings because there were no previous meetings. We had info sessions for other open calls that we have organized in the past. We will do an info session for every open call that we will have in the future. And what you can reference to are the recordings and the slides on our website. I will put the link later on. But this is just general information on the open calls. And then another point on the question from Daniel in the Q&A box who is asking if international standards developed at ISO and IEC are also covered by this call. Yes, so I want to clarify that the open call is still you can still apply for any of the topics of the ICT rolling plan and for any committee or SDO or working group. The reason why we have a priority is just that we especially encourage applications on this topic. And as an EU-funded project, we follow these directions. But in general, the other topics are also available in this call. Having a priority means that, of course, we encourage more applications on the priority topics, but also that those who apply under this category or topic will be rewarded a higher score. Okay, so also in the grading, we will we will add some bonus on the priority topics because there will be one ranking, a unique ranking. And of course, since the priority is Cyber Resilience Act and the standardization request, we aim to have those type of applications in a privileged, let's say, position in the ranking. But as you know, in this edition of StandICT, we have more budget available, and we have therefore more fellowships awarded at each call. So there is still a good chance that you can have a successful outcome, even if you are not applying under this topic. Okay, on average, we are able to grant 75 fellowships under each open call. Okay, then we can leave the other questions later on, but since we were talking about the priority topics, I wanted to clarify this, okay, that everyone can apply, and these topics are just a special focus, but not the only focus of the call. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. So as I was saying, just to provide a brief overview of Open Call 3, as always, let's say we have still two different types of contributions. We have long-term contributions that can last up to 9 months and for which you can request up to 10,000 euros. In these contributions, usually, let's say you can somehow address the work on the standards development, in particular, if you want, I don't know, to comment standards development and drafts, if you want to attend meetings as an observer or pay the membership fees. But we do also have short-term contribution option, which is up to 3 months, and the funding available that you can request is up to 5,000 euros. In this case, also, it is always, let's say, about contributing to the standard documentations or to liaise with the working groups, comments on standards and participation at meetings and membership fees, but let's say for a shorter amount of time. For what concerns who can receive financial support, as you know, StandICT funds individuals or natural persons that reside in the European member states and in the associate countries, both from public and private sector, of course. Potential applicants are both standardization specialists, so professionals with proven experience in standardization activities, but also newcomers and first-timers in the field of standardization who are willing, of course, to increase their knowledge and their experience in this field. A very important note also for those that have already, for instance, been funded in the previous 2 open calls, please remember that applicants can apply to all StandICT open calls, of course, but they can be rewarded for a maximum amount of 50K over this current edition. In particular, of course, let's say we look for European experts that have a profound knowledge in one of the topics covered by the open calls, and also have experience regarding the developments of standards in SDOs, in groups that have been set up by the European Commission, but also in the phase, let's say, of creating documentations in open source development. And of course, in order to be considered eligible, you must not be receiving support from other instruments for the proposed activities that you are requesting under this open call. Otherwise, you would be, let's say, retained for double funding. As for the fellowship timeline, in this case, as I was saying also earlier, applicants, of course, can apply for a continuation of previously funded activities. So if you have been potentially already funded under Open Call 2 or Open Call 1, you can request another, let's say, application for a continuation of the work you have already started in the previous batches. Of course, you must clearly demonstrate the progress that you have made in your new application with respect to the previously funded one, of course, and the improvements that will be performed in the new activities, and also, of course, very important, the different timeline of the new activity. This means that your new application cannot, let's say, overlap in terms of timeline with the previous one. And also it's very important not to copy and paste the same application, as it might be penalized. So it's important to showcase the improvements. Also, let's say the fellowship timeline needs to be aligned with the fellowship application. So this means that the earliest possible start date of the fellowship is the application creation date on the Trust Grants platform. And so you can potentially set a start date for the fellowship that occurs before the announcement of the evaluation process results, because in any case, the funding is retroactive. For what concerns the eligible costs, as some of you may already know, we can reimburse personal working effort, but this cannot exceed the EU daily rate of 40,050 euros. Travel costs as well, if you are traveling for attending a meeting, event registration fees, if the event you are planning to attend has a registration fees, and membership fees for both SDOs and SSOs organizations. So if you're not already a member of an SDO, you can also request the reimbursement for the membership fee. Of course, if your, let's say, activity that you are describing in the application form is partially already covered in terms of funding by other resources, the items that have already been covered are not eligible for funding under StandICT. In order to be, let's say, considered eligible, of course, we have some criteria that needs to be followed. First of all, you need to complete the application form in all its sections. You need, of course, as I said at the beginning, to be an individual residing in a European member state or an associate country. And very important, your application needs to have an updated version of the CV. Without a CV, the application is considered not eligible and won't be evaluated. As for the evaluation per se, evaluators who are going to, let's say, check and work on your applications will follow mainly 4 different criteria, which are all weighted more or less equally. The first criteria is the one of the excellence, so the quality and the clarity of your proposed activities, the technical soundness, and the understanding also of the current standards landscape. Then we have a criterion on the impact, so which will be the impact of your application, how you will support the EU policy priorities in the ICT domain, how will you, let's say, align your work with the ICT rolling plan topics, and so on. We have a criterion then on implementation, so the feasibility, the clarity, and the realism of the plan you are proposing, the work structure, the key performance indicators, and the budget. And then we have one criterion on inclusion and knowledge transfer, so how you as an applicant will promote the inclusion and knowledge and share, let's say, the ICT standardization knowledge in general. Each application can be awarded with a score from 0 to 10, and all the evaluations will be conducted by 3 independent experts who will evaluate each application. A 4th person, of course, then will be involved for the quality check of the evaluation process. Now, the big news, let's say, in terms of this open call is that we are hosting it on an updated version of our grants platform. As you might have seen if you have already drafted an application. Let's say this tool, we hope that with this tool we will improve the usability from both the applicants, the evaluators, and also, of course, the administration point of view. It is a very first draft, so it's a very first version that will, of course, need to be improved in the future. And for this reason, we actually wanted to, let's say, test it also with this open call so that we can also receive some feedbacks on it. So if you are submitting an application for open call 3 and you have, let's say, some difficulties, you find something that is not working properly, you think that something would need to be changed in the application submission process, you can send an email to us with your comments. This would be useful indeed to improve the usability of this new platform, in particular also from a UX UI point of view, which is already under review, but of course, since it is now under review, the more comments we receive, the better. Another point, of course, since we are, let's say, moving from the old platform to the new platform, at the moment, we have both platforms on the website. So this means that basically, and I can show you this directly. So this means that if you are on the StandICT website and you are logged in, and if you click on grants platform, you will go to the old grants platform. The reason, of course, it's mainly because we still have the monitoring part of OpenCall 1 and OpenCall 2 that is ongoing on the old grants platform. And for this reason, we wanted to leave it, let's say, open. And also that we had to reopen the call for the evaluators. And we did it on the old grants platform because the new one was still under development. In any case, as you can see, we have provided a link in the old platform that sends directly to the new platform. So if you click here, you can actually go to the new platform. Or in an easier way, potentially, you can also go to the OpenCall 3 web page. Sorry, the website is a bit slow. And if you click on Apply Now, you will be redirected directly on the new grants platform. So as I was saying, it's already under review from a UX UI point of view, but more or less this will be the structure that we will have. As you can see on the new grants platform, we have 2 programs now, because we have also launched another type of open call, which is a pilot. It's the first time that we launch it, and it was supposed, let's say, to be launched in this new edition of 2029, which is the standardization meetings open call, and we will discuss this in a few minutes. And then we have, let's say, the regular program of the open calls of StandICT. So if you click here on the program, you will see that we currently have an active call, which is open call 3. Here you can see the start and the end date. If you click here, you can apply, but of course you need to log in. The login button is also here up on the right. So for the login, as you can see here, for the moment, we have 2 options, which are a bit misleading because we have login and login through StandICT credentials. Now, this is a very important step. If you have already an account on the StandICT website, which most of you, I think you do, you simply need to log in through the StandICT. You simply need to click on login through StandICT credentials, and you will be directly logged in the new grants, thanks to the credentials that have already been saved on the website. If you do not have an account on the StandICT website, before going on the new grants, you would need to register to the StandICT website. And so you would simply have to, now I'm logged in, of course, but if I log out, sorry, and I click here on the up on the right, I can create a new account here. So this is a very important step that you would need to do if you are not registered already on the website and if you want to submit an application for OpenCall 3. Now, going back to the grants, if I click on login through StandICT credentials, it sends me here. So now I log in, and then exactly, I'm logged in the new grants. Of course, now I have different roles because I am also an administrator of the website. You will be able to see the applicant role. You would have to click on this role, the role of applicant, and then at this point you are logged in. You select once again the program you want to apply for, in this case, the general program for the open calls, and you can select the active open call, which is open call 3. Now, this is the overview, let's say, that you will have once you have logged in on the grants platform, the new grants platform. You will be able to see here all your applications. Of course, I have some test applications that I did. And if you click on them, you can directly view them and see what you have written in them. But you can also, you can also apply here and submit a new application. Here we have the application form. And here, as you can see, we have all the different questions of the application form. The application form, it's a bit, let's say, more, I would say, better detailed because it is divided into different sections. So we have the first section, which is the applicant's general information, where we have the application form is the same of the previous open calls. Of course, it is only displayed in a more, let's say, structured way in this case. Here you can reply to all the questions. Example for you to be aware on how to do it. Just a test, of course. Here you can add all the details of your application, if you want a long-term, if you want a short-term application form. As you can see, when you start filling in the part related to start and end date of your project can start, let's say, the start date that you can put, the earliest start date that you can put is the 13th of July, which is the date on which the call was launched. And then, of course, the end date needs to be, in this case, maximum 3 months. Of course, if you select 9 months, it would be maximum 9 months. Of course, if you also put a longer deadline at some point, no, sorry, this is not longer. This should be longer at some point once you will get to the end of the application form. It will tell you that, let's say you have put a longer date, and so it will give you exactly the warning sign. Then we have the section of the excellence, where you can describe the objectives and so on. We have the section, sorry, everything, the section of the impact, where you can add the part related to the impact, the SDO you are working for, the working groups, and all the other points. Then we have this section of the implementation, and this is important because here we have the budget. Now, the budget here, you need simply to add, let's say, the amount of money you are requesting for each of the cost items and add the description. This is mandatory for all the budget fields. So this means that if you do not need money for travel, you still need to add 0, for instance, and in the description you can write something like not needed or NA. And the same applies for all the budget fields. And at the end, the grants platform will automatically sum up the amount of money you have requested. And then we have the final section where you need to summarize your expertise and everything, add a short bio of your professional, let's say, story, and then the question about whether you are well experienced, intermediate experience, or a newcomer. And then also, of course, adding the details. The question on the mentorship program, here you need to upload the CV for your oops, perfect. Amazing. Sorry. In any case, once you have filled in all the sections, let me see if I can do it with a draft one. Okay. Once you have filled in all the sections of your application form, basically you will have to, sorry, I need to do it again. I will do it a bit quicker because there is, let's say, one section that it's a bit misleading for the moment, but it's very important that you check it as well. And we are also working, of course, on it in order to fix it as soon as possible. Now, bear with me. Maria, maybe if you wanted to see if we have some questions while I'm filling in the
Yes, actually,
application.
I'm already addressing all the questions or most of the questions in the chat and in the Q&A box. I don't see new ones on the chat for now. There are some questions on that I left for you, Teresa, afterwards regarding exactly the application form.
Mhm.
And the one that I was about to answer now was, so I will answer in person from Daniel. What do I do if I ask for the maximum amount, but the evaluators think that my participation in the standards committee costs much more and I am underestimating the costs? So let's say, evaluation of the evaluators under each criterion will be, of course, detailed in the report, in the feedback that they give you. But of course, if you are already asking for the maximum, you know, even if it's true that maybe the costs are higher, you cannot ask for more, so you will need to specify in the in order to avoid maybe confusion on this point, you can specify in the form that the real cost would be, I don't know, a given amount, and you are asking only 50%, 60%, 70%, or whatever it is of the fee, because that's the maximum. So you explain why, you know, the cost is shorter. So it's crystal clear, and there is no doubt that you are underestimating on purpose. You are just asking what you can ask given the limit of the grants. I hope it was clear, the answer. And then we have others. Actually, the classification of the applications values differently specific activities, SDO, report types, norms, technology, and public outreach sessions. I'm not sure if I understood, Gerardo, correctly your question, but all the things that you mentioned, so SDOs, norms, technologies, etc., all these types of activities are all fine, okay, are all eligible, and you can apply for this type of activities in the application form. So it's possible. Then Athanasios, sorry, is asking, can you clarify whether receipts and supporting documents for travel should be submitted? No, so in this case, it's not required in the reporting because for this open call, we pay you with lump sum payment. Okay, so you will not need to provide receipts, etc. You just need to justify everything in the application, be clear in your estimation, etc. But not we don't request receipts or things like this. Then Cinzia is asking something about the criterion on knowledge transfer. So for this, Cinzia, I recommend that you apply for the mentoring program that I will present in a moment, where you can receive suggestions also on things related to the knowledge sharing and part, and where you can also ask advice from fellows that have been funded maybe multiple times on what makes an application stronger. So we have a session about this mentoring program at the end of the webinar.
Thanks, Maria. Forgot
Yes.
to actually say something important.
Mm-hmm.
That if you want to save it as a draft, of course you can. Of course, it will say that it's invalid because it's missing some sections, but the text are now saved. Then if I manage to upload a file, sorry, let me see if I have my action. One second. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this worked. Of course, the file needs to be not too heavy, otherwise the grants might also, as you have seen, might also stop working. So it's important, let's say, that before you get to this section where you need to upload the CV, you save the application form as a draft if you want to be 100% sure that it won't be stuck at some point when you try to upload the documents. Okay, at this point we have added all the details that were mandatory and needed, and as you can see, the application form is now completed. Here we have a warning message saying that your application has not been submitted, of course, because it has only been saved in draft. And so if you want to proceed, and if you are sure that all the details you have added are correct, you need to click on the submit button. So once you have reached this phase, you click on submit. And in this case, your application has been submitted. Now, this overview section, as you can see, has both programs, because now on the new grants, we have two different programs, two different open calls open. And so in the overview of my applications, now I can see all my submissions, both for the regular calls, both for the SM open calls that you can recognize from the, let's say, ID number of your applications. And if you want to only see the, here you have some filters, of course, if you want to see the ones in draft, the ones submitted, the ones that have been approved, and so on. If you only want to see let's see if this works. If you only want to see the calls related to the program of the regular open call, so let's say, I think you would need to write the call name. Okay, so it's StandICT, exactly, open call 3. In this case, if you write open call 3, you see the applications that you currently have under open call 3. If you have also applied for the other open call, you need to write standardization meetings. And in this case, you will see, let's say, the applications that you have submitted under the other program of the standardization meetings. So this is more or less the overview of the new grants platform. Of course, as I said, it's a very first version, and so improvements will be made, of course, in the future. But also, if you already have comments, if you have already tried to submit an application and you have found some difficulties in the submission process, please let us know. I don't know if we have some questions, Maria, on this for me.
There was I don't know if you already addressed the questions from Rosa regarding saving as a draft. I saw you showed it's possible to save, but I think she has some problems with this. But
Let me
maybe
check.
Rosa, if you have issues, maybe you can contact Teresa privately to see.
Yes,
Okay.
please, of course. Okay.
And then on the platform, I don't think there are other questions at the moment.
In case you have them, you can write them and we can address them at the end of the info session.
Yes.
Then just a few words on what's next, let's say. So if you think you won't have enough time to apply for Open Call 3, you have to remember, of course, that we still have 3 batches of open calls that will be launched in the upcoming months. We have Open Call 4 that will potentially be open in October. So I would say almost immediately after Open Call 3 closes and will end in December 2026. And evaluations will be, let's say, between the Christmas period potentially, so between December and January. Then in 2027, we would have Open Call 5 launched in February and closing in April, with evaluations around April and May. And then Open Call 6 that will open in June 2027 and close in August or potentially September. We will have to see, let's say, also for the summer period and everything, and evaluations also will be performed between August and September. As I was mentioning before, we also have, let's say, a new program that we have launched as a pilot in this new StandICT 2029 edition, which is the Standardization Meetings Open Call. This Standardization Meetings Open Call has been launched in June 2026 and is a call that will stay open until funding is available, and evaluations in this case will be done in batches. We already did an info session for this open call, this particular case of open call, and so you can find it also, of course, on the website. But just for you to know, we also have all the info here on the webpage. This call is basically a pilot where we are going to, let's say, support the hosting of international standardization technical meetings in Europe. So this means that in this case, it is a completely, let's say, different call from the regular ones, because you are not applying for contributing to the standards. But in this case, you are applying because you want to host a meeting in Europe that would otherwise have been, let's say, hosted somewhere else in the world. Of course, it has to be a meeting organized by an international standard organizations. All the details of this call are available here. And so, yes, if you are also interested in this funding opportunity, you can check it directly on the website. Or you can also recover, let's say, the info session that we did a few weeks ago on this. Here we have some useful links. Of course, as you know, we always have the applicants to the fellowships. These guidelines will need to be updated with the new grants section. But for the moment, let's say, if you need to know if you want to know how to apply, you can check the guidelines if you have any other kind of doubt. We also have, of course, a fellowship page on our website where you can see the already funded fellows under our open calls, in case you also want to know what we have funded. people to work for. And here we also have the open call page where you can go if you want to submit an application. I would, sorry, leave the Q&A session for later because I forgot, okay, that we had also this part on the mentorship program that Maria can now present.
Yes, thank you, Teresa. I was continuing to answer the questions. Thank you for all the questions. There are so many. We hope to address everything, but in case we are not able to address all of them, feel free to follow up, okay, with us even after this meeting. So the mentorship program, I've mentioned it briefly already. It's a new opportunity that we offer in this edition. We started actually this initiative already in the 2026 edition as a pilot, so on a smaller scale, and only limited to those people that were already part of they were already applicants, okay, to the open calls. Now the mentorship is open to anyone, so both people that would need financial support and so apply for the open calls, but also people that are maybe researchers or other experts that do not need the funding to work in standardization, but they need mentoring, so they need support in terms of standardization knowledge. So the mentorship program is exactly like this, a voluntary activity performed by experienced standardization professionals on one side and newcomers to the standardization world. Okay, so the mentoring is about standardization, it's not about the specific topic. We kind of try and facilitate also the matching in terms of the topic that you cover, because it's gonna be easier if there is, any specific request or need on the specific topic that you are working on. But in general, let's say the mentoring is about helping those that do not work in standardization understand how to do it. Okay, as I was saying, the program is open to everyone because the mentorship application form is separate from the open call application form. And the value, of course, on the mentee side is that you can get practical help and understand better how to get up to speed with working in a standardization committee and the standardization environment and all the process and procedures. On the mentor side, of course, you get to help your colleagues and you gain a possibility of networking, of having also visibility, because then we develop in some cases also success stories of successful interaction. And I see in the meeting, for example, also in the chat, Sandra, who is one of our mentors that has done a lot of work, but there are many others, okay, that can help on this. So if we go to the next slide, Teresa. Yes, this is a explanation of how the procedure works. So as I said, we have mentors, so experts already in standardization on one side, and mentees, people that are not expert of standardization. So could be people from SME, academic professionals, new fellows, etc. That both of them, they have to apply on the application form and they will be matched, okay, by us. And what you can get under the mentorship program is let's say a one-to-one exchange with the mentor that is assigned to you, and ask this mentor any doubts or questions that you can have, and they will try to help you, sharing resources, information, collaboration on projects, and maybe some help on how to handle difficult situations in relevant meetings and other type of support like this. We have already started actually the mentorship program for the people that have applied so far. There was a meeting in June managed by our colleague Gabriele Casalini from Digital SME Alliance, our partner in StandICT. Unfortunately, he was not able to attend this session today, but you will find his contact at the end of the slides, and you can also ask him if you want to get up to speed and maybe receive the material and information that was shared in the first session of the mentorship program that was already done. But of course, there will be new sessions for the new enrolled mentees and mentors going forward. Let's move to the other slide. So this is a breakdown of the process. You have to apply for the program. There is a web page on the website that maybe Teresa can, no, it's already written here on the slide, but maybe Teresa, you can put the link to the mentorship application form already. Okay. Then inside the consortium, we do the matching, basically made on the topic or the request, the need, the SDO, the technical groups where the participants are active. And then we organize these briefings, these group meetings where there is the onboarding. So we explain the resources, the initiative, etc. And then the interaction starts. So once you are put in contact with your mentors, if you are a mentee, you can be flexible in arranging how you want to interact. Okay, so this is very important, the mentorship program, because it's very connected to the criterion 4 of the application form. While we said this time, this edition, the mentorship program is open to anyone, so also people that do not need financial support, still we want to encourage this exchange of knowledge about standardization, and so we put it as a criterion also in the application form, that if you are able to engage with the people with the lesser degree of experience as you have in standardization, then you will, even be scored higher in your application form, and you have a better score at the end. And also for people who were asking for specific examples or questions, how to make a good knowledge exchange plan in the application. Applying in the mentorship program can help you in this, because you receive support also on this type of activities and what to write, let's say, in the application form under this criterion particularly. So I think it's all. Let's see if we have in the last 7 minutes any question that is left. I will start from the chat. So, Luis, you asked about the dissemination of ICT standards. What are grant applicants expected to do on a personal basis? Can you give some examples? Oh, okay. So, regarding dissemination of your activity and the fact that maybe you are granted a StandICT fellowship, there are several things that you can do. First of all, if you are if you are awarded the application, a good thing would be to inform your colleagues in the technical committee, inform the chair, so let the people in the technical committee know during the meetings, and maybe also asking for possibility to explain how StandICT works, so that you can encourage other people to have this opportunity as well. And beyond the dissemination, let's say, about the possibility of getting the funding inside your technical committee, you can do dissemination outside, abroad. And so examples that you already wrote in the chat, like publishing on LinkedIn and maybe mentioning our account so that we can see your posts and reshare and react to it, or writing some articles, blog posts, attending conferences and maybe using our templates, or maybe we can give you also maybe some branding material, okay, if you know that you are attending an event. And in any case, anything that comes to your mind that can help people see that you were able to do many things, also thanks to this financial support. Then mentorship program. Okay. Uh, Rolf asked, would I receive 1 point for my application in the open call by participating in the mentorship program as a mentee too, or both? Okay, so if you apply either as a mentee or a mentor, you are granted more points because, of course, we want the mentorship program to work, to be helpful, and we need both sides of the program.
We have one question, Maria, in the Q&A box.
Yes.
From Rosa, what are the main differences you are seeking between short and long-term funding? I would say, as we said at the beginning, that here the main distinction is on the amount of time that you have at disposal, of course. And so potentially, let's say, if you are requesting for a long-term contribution, you might look for contributions to ongoing standards development, also has a chair, a convener, a rapporteur, or a member also of an SDO or a working group. So you need to comment on the standards, the drafts, you need to attend meetings and so on. The same, it's, let's say, in theory, you can also do it for the short term. I think also the role here has a role. Sorry for the words, but the point is that, of course, the contributions are mainly, let's say, based also on the role that you have within a working group or a technical committee and the amount of work you need to do. I would say, if you think it's correct, Maria. Then we have another question by Santosh. How much does priority topic weighting affect strong non-priority application in practice? As an example, can a very strong AI or fintech proposal still be funded competitively, or does the weighting usually place Cyber Resilience Act proposal ahead of it? So let's say that you won't be funded 100% if you submit an application on the Cyber Resilience Act, because you will be granted for additional points, but of course the evaluation process, let's say it's the same. So all applicants will be evaluated based on the same evaluation criteria. They will only gain extra points if they, let's say, address the priority topic. But this doesn't mean that, for instance, I don't know, they have written an impact section that it's not enough structured, and so this will penalize potentially their application. So indeed, you can also see this, for instance, if you check the Open Call 2, where we did have a priority topic on AI, and where we funded 78 applications, of which 34 were on artificial intelligence, but then, as you can see, also other topics have been funded. So this doesn't mean that if your application is extremely well written and it's on a different topic, it won't be funded. So it's not enough, let's say, to submit an application for the priority topic. It also needs, of course, to fulfill all the requested criteria. Another question from Gerardo: is this applicable to work on normative work in non-SDOs, as public guides and recommendation on industry bodies? Example, AI risk and impact assessment classification rules.
So, Gerardo, basically, majority of the applications that we fund are for work in formal SDOs. However, as a result, historically, we see the majority that pass are on this, and this is kind of the priority, but is not exclusive. So you are allowed to apply for work that is on standardization and is not in formal bodies, SDO bodies. So it is eligible. Maybe it's a little bit less easy to be funded because the work, I mean, just looking at the results that we have got, but there is no way that you are penalized because of this. So you can still try and write the best as you can the various sections of the open call form. So I don't know, Teresa, if there is, I don't think in the Q&A there is anything left.
I think so.
And maybe let's see on the chat. Okay, still a few questions on the knowledge criterion and the mentorship program. Should I be waiting for the mentor?
We have two new questions actually in the Q&A box.
Mentor. So Henriette, you have a very long comment here on the chat. I'm not sure if I understood your point. Maybe you can follow up privately, but basically you for the if you are interested in applying to the open call, it's enough that you apply to the program and then you don't need to have already a mentor assigned because normally the assignments are done in batches, so not application by application, but after we receive a given number of applications, we match you. So it's not necessarily true that you already have your mentor assigned when you apply. Okay. Then Teresa, what were the other
Yes, we have
questions?
another question from Rosa. Are international standards being developed at ISO and ISC also covered by this call?
Yeah, we just saw it, yes, because as Teresa showed, you can apply still for all the topics of the rolling plan and actually contribute. Normally, historically, StandICT has always privileged contribution to international SDOs rather than European SDOs, but we are making some exceptions in some of the open calls for the European Commission priorities on the standardization requests due to the AI Act, the Cyber Resilience Act, and we don't know yet if we will have other priorities in the future calls. Could be, but could also be that we do not have other priorities in the future.
Then we have one question from Desmond. Is the 50K per expert ceiling counted at award or at payment, and does it include fellowships still in progress? Yes, the 50K, it's the total amount you can be granted for in all the 6 open calls. So this means potentially that you can be awarded for 5 long-term applications or 10 short-term applications.
Yes, but it's done at award,
At award,
Desmond.
yes.
So if you have already received, I don't know, 45K and you apply next time for 10K, we will tell you, okay, we can pay you, we can award you only 5K.
Exactly. And then another question from Cynthia. Can you both a mentor and a mentee can you be, I think, both a mentor and a mentee, for example, if you're very experienced in standards work but new to applying for grants?
That's a very nice point, Cinzia. I don't know if we have examples of this, but I think you can definitely do that. I don't know if it allows you to do it in the application form. I don't remember. I don't know, Teresa, if you remember
Mm,
that you can
I
apply
don't.
for both roles. But that's a case, a situation like yours that could happen. So if you don't find this option in the application form of the open call or the application form of the mentorship program, because actually you are onboarded only if you apply to the mentorship program, you can contact Gabriele
Yes. In any
Casallini.
case, in the application form for the open call, you can only select one option in that
Ah,
question.
okay, so it's not
In the
possible.
application form, yes. The mentorship registration form, in theory, she can submit twice, but the best option is to contact Gabriele for sure.
Yeah, I think also the mentorship application form doesn't allow you
Okay.
to do both, but maybe you submit two applications explaining for what topic you would like to be a mentor and what topic you would like to be a mentee, and then maybe you contact Gabriele to explain the situation. Maybe I will write his email as well, in the chat. Okay. Anything else?
No, I don't see other questions. In any case, you can find all our contacts both in the slides, but also on the guidelines online. So potentially, let's say you can always find a way to to contact us. As always, we will also upload, as I was saying at the beginning, the registration and the slides on the event page in the upcoming days.
Thanks a lot. We're very happy to see, wide participation. Also, 31st of July, and we hope all of you can be successful in your applications to our programs. Have a nice summer break and weekend,
Thanks a
and see
lot.
you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.